Well, you have starred on several iconic series, some of which I saw, or I think it's One-on-One that's on HBO Max now.
One
Yeah.
on One is on HBO Max and Hang with Mr.
And Hang
Cooper.
with Mr. Cooper. So you got
Yeah,
two on there. Let them
yeah.
checks keep coming, Holly.
Okay.
But
Them 13-cent checks.
but you were a part of several very iconic, cult classic kind of sitcoms. And, I was going back and looking at old interviews, and it's funny because I've gotten a chance to know you, I forget how famous you actually are. In the sense that, I mean, you were interviewed by Johnny Carson, Arsenio, like everybody. So tell me, when is the first time that you felt famous?
When I got on first class, when I flew first class for the first time, like getting in that seat, because I'm usually the person, walking past that section. And that first flight where someone flew me first class and like I didn't ask for it. It just put me in there. I was like, oh, and the little seats went back and had me some little extra food, a little champagne. I think what being on that flight was like one of those moments where I was like, like, I guess I'm something. I guess if somebody decided I'd need to be in first class. So that was probably the first time when I was alone, when I was like doing something where it was just me. But the moment where I think I really recognized the height of the fame of the show, 21 Jump Street, which was, my start. Well, Sesame Street was my start, but that's a whole nother story. 21 Jump Street, a different street, was when we went to Chicago, and it was this big PR event called Jump Street meets State Street. And we all went there, and we had like this little like kind of pep rally, if you will. And we shut down all of Michigan Avenue. Like everybody came out and they were screaming, and a lot of it was about Johnny, but it was just like the show was, oh, okay. Oh, this is what we're doing here. So that was one of the first times I realized that it was pretty iconic.
You see how fame is these days. How much do you think about how you would process fame if all of that was happening to you right now and you were in your 20s?
Well, my kids always say, Mom, can you imagine if 21 Jump Street was happening right now, how many more Instagram followers you would have? Like to them, they're like, you would have as many as Selena Gomez. I'm like, okay, just pump your brakes. But in some ways, yes. Social media has given a platform to shows and celebrities and brands that we didn't have before. It was just fan mail, regular old snail mail, fan mail. And we didn't really have that. So I think, yes, maybe I would have 100 million followers, who knows? But I think that I dodged a bullet by being in my 20s and not having social media. I know Johnny Depp did. I'm just going to say that. Because I used to look at him and go, well, like, look at Justin Bieber, what he had to go through, like on blast. If Johnny had some of the things that he did in his 20s, if they were documented today, he may not be the global superstar that he is now, just because just the scrutiny level is so much higher. So I am glad that there wasn't that scrutiny. And for myself too, I did stuff too in the 80s that, I would not want people to know about, or in the early 90s. So just guys I dated, people I hung out with, like all that would have been on display. And so just to be able to look now and go, wow, like you kind of got through your 20s without it being documented, it feels like dodging some bullets. But also, I'll tell you what, I definitely would never have survived. I would never have survived being an NFL wife in the age of social media. Oh, I would have got that brother kicked off every squad he got on. I think we've had this conversation before, Jemele, because I said, because you look at the wives that have spoken out, and you cannot win that. You cannot win. And I used to be so mad, when we played for different teams. Probably the hardest one was the Eagles, because I was from Philly, and then the husband playing for the Eagles as a quarterback was especially difficult, because I would get all these tickets from my relatives in there. And then I'd be sitting in the stands and like, I hear somebody, Roddy throw a pick. Oh, you suck, Pete. And I turn around and it's my Aunt Jane. And I'm like, Aunt Jane, who, Aunt Jane? Who got you these tickets? What are we doing
You
here?
know how Eagles fans are, Holly.
Oh my
You know.
gosh. And my family is the worst, right? So, I mean, it was like every Thanksgiving, they wanted to sit and walk through each, you know, it was maddening, but it was still like really cool to grow up an Eagles fan and be married to the Eagles quarterback. That was pretty dope. But I don't think I would not have survived social media, because I wouldn't have survived the scrutiny. I wouldn't have survived the public, the way these quarterbacks, these players get dragged. It would have been rough.
Mm.
I just
Yeah,
had to deal with like local WIP radio in Philadelphia. Like that was hard enough for me, and Rodney would forbid me to put that radio station on. But what if I'm just scrolling through Twitter and Rodney Peete is trending, and then I'm not going to click on that? So I love social media too much to not be able to, like, you know, to not be able to go there.
Well, it's as we've also seen, because of the 24-hour news cycle and social media, a lot of marriages don't survive, especially ones that are in the spotlight the way that yours is. You know, you have a well-known actor, a professional athlete. That's usually not a mixture for success. I think last year you guys celebrated 25. Is that right?
26.
26. Okay. All right. So you're 26 years in. What do you appreciate about your marriage now that maybe you didn't appreciate, maybe in the younger stage of your marriage? Asking as somebody who's about to celebrate year 2 of marriage.
Oh, I love that y'all are coming on year 2. I love that. It feels like you just got married yesterday, but whatever. I appreciate Rodney's willingness to treat me as an equal partner. You know, that's really what it was for me. You see, I'm a type A personality. I'm not easy to handle. I'm not easy to deal with, because I'm very, set in my ways. I'm very, like I got to be right all the time, that kind of stuff. That usually doesn't make for a good marriage. But I think Rodney has allowed me to be me, has allowed me to just be my own person, has celebrated the woman that I am. He celebrates my victories, my successes. He's there for the failures. And so I think being an equal partner and him celebrating me as an equal partner has been what's kept us together. That and 20-second hugs. Do you know about these?
I do not know. Explain the 20-second hug.
So the 20-second hug is what we do when we are so mad at each other that we don't even want to talk to each other, but each person you can call for the 20-second hug no matter what the moment. So even if you're just beefing and you're really at it, if he says 20-second hug, I reluctantly have to hug him tight for 20 seconds. Now, when you're fighting with your man or you're beefing with your man, the last thing you want to do is touch him. You don't even want to smell him. You don't even want to be in the same room with him. If you're hugging him, there's something about the pheromones that around, that second 1 through second 15 is rough because you just want to choke him, right? But when you get to 15, there's something about everything calms down. Your body calms down, the pheromones, your chest to chest. And when you part, you still might be mad, but you're less mad and you're softer. So the 20-second hug, Jemele, you guys need to try this. You're still in honeymoon phase. He's probably not beefing it that much, but I would suggest this to any couple who's just, trying to push through some of the tough stuff, that when you do that, you make the rest of the argument a little easier. And sometimes you even just agree to go in your corners and just lay it to rest. 20-second hug.
That is great advice, because I think one of the things that I had to do and learn how to do is that, especially given my profession, being in commentary, being in journalism, I had to stop trying to argue to win. I had to stop that, right? And I'm not saying that I am perfect at doing this, but when you're just girlfriend and boyfriend, you have the ability to go for the jugular. Y'all retreat to your separate homes. And it's like you will come back and whatever. You can have sort of a winner and a loser, right? When you're married, it's different because y'all got to go to sleep together.
Right.
Right. So you have to be solution oriented and figuring problems out. And so and I'm still learning the art of this.
Well, sometimes you're not going to get a solution. You just that agree to disagree thing is hard for me. I have a hard time. We're just going to agree to disagree. No, you're going to see my side and you're going to agree with me. So that was my challenge, was maybe coming off of that a little bit more. But again, because Rodney kind of allows me to be me and allows me to soar in ways, because I feel he doesn't hold me back, and he doesn't expect me to stand behind him and just say nothing. And there are times when I do that, that's just depending on where we are. But he's always allowed me to be heard and seen in this marriage. And because of that, I think that's why we're here.